Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Daphne and I make videos on DIYs and home decor. And if you're not new here, you probably recognize that my background is different. That is because I am visiting family in Greece. I also came to get vaccinated and take a holiday break. And I thought, what's better than a summer themed video? It's July, it's 35 degrees outside, I'm on a Greek island. Now, I pre-filmed all three projects when I was back in Cyprus and I absolutely love how all three of them turned out. I think they would be perfect for a beach house or a summer holiday home, or even if you just want to switch up your decor for the summer. They were super easy to make and took me only a couple of days to complete, and personally they cost me almost nothing because I had most of the materials for everything, and that is often the case with smaller DIYs. There's so many things you can create with leftovers from previous projects, so hopefully that will inspire you to look at your own stash and see what fun projects you can make with materials you already have. And last but not least, all the products used will be linked in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get started with our summer DIYs. So for my first project, I will be creating some wall art, and I start off by cutting out a piece of canvas to my desired dimensions, around 24 by 24 centimeters, and then I am ironing both sides to get rid of any wrinkles and to make sure it is nice and flat. And next I am ready for painting. I am going for a minimal sunset over the water. I love watching the sunset, especially on the beach. I mean, who doesn't really? And we have pretty amazing sunsets over here in Aina where the whole sky turns pink. And I wanted to create something minimal that reminds me of that. So I am mixing some white, red and blue to create a purple color. And I am drawing an arch shape to give my drawing some dimension. And next I am creating a light blue color, and I'm also adding a little bit of light green to make it more turquoise to create the sea. And finally, using white and red, I am creating a light pink color, and I'm also adding some beige to tone down the vibrancy. And finally, I am drawing the sun falling in the water with some thick sun rays. I think it turned out really cute and aesthetic. I love the combination of these three colors, and while it was drying, I measured the dimensions for the frame. These are 29 by 29 centimeters, and I cut them with my miter saw at 45 degrees angle on each side. Once I had all four pieces, I lightly sanded the edges of each piece with a 120 grit sandpaper, and then using some wood super glue, I glued the edges to form my frame. And when the glue dried, I also added 2 staples on the back side of each of the 4 connections for extra security. Then I added some wood filler to cover the gaps, and after a few hours when it was completely dry, I sanded everything with a 120 grit sandpaper, making sure I have a flat and smooth surface before painting. And I also sanded all the inner and outer edges as well. I I wiped off the dust with a damp cloth, and my initial idea was to stain it, but when it dried, I found out that my wood filler is not stainable, and it did not look good at all. As you guys can see, it picks through where the pieces connect, so I sanded it again with a 120 grit sandpaper, wiped off the dust, and spray painted it with a black matte spray paint. I let it dry for a couple of hours, and then I stapled the canvas on the frame, and I also used a flat and soft surface, in my case a folded bed sheet, to protect the frame from getting scratched, and that finishes off our aesthetic framed wall art. For my second DIY, I will be creating a Seashell Trinket dish, and this one turned out so pretty. I took a big chunk of air dry clay and dipped it in water, and to soften it, I rolled it around in my hands as you would with a regular dough. And once it was nice and soft and round, I spread it on a baking sheet, and I also used a rolling pin to roll it out. Once I had my desired thickness, that's not too thick or too thin, I used a cutter to create the shape of a seashell, and I also used a round cardboard that I often use when working with air dry clay to help me shape the curve of the seashell. You could also use a small dish to do that, and because I hadn't yet carved through the clay, I could make some further changes until I was happy with the way it looked. Then I carved it and removed the excess clay and put it on the side because I will be using some of it later on. I added some water on the surface and edges and outline of the dish to smooth out any harshness and create a seamless surface. And I personally like to take my time during this step because it saves me a lot of time from sanding when it's dry. And then by using the long edge of a toothpick, I created the stripes on the surface of the seashell. And to make sure they are even, I placed one edge of the toothpick on the center of the bottom of the dish and worked from right to left by pressing the toothpick in to create these ruffles. And I also wet the toothpick every once in a while so I don't remove any of the clay. Next, I smoothed out the surface one last time with some water, and with the excess clay I had on the side, I rolled 3 small round pieces that will serve as the legs of the dish. I placed the trinket dish facing downwards on an upside down drinking glass, and I also placed a baking sheet in between to protect the surface and to avoid the clay from getting stuck on the glass. I also very lightly pressed the outline downwards so that the trinket dish has a slight curve, and finally I attached the round pieces on the back of the dish, so I pinched with a cutter the surfaces where each round piece would connect to the clay to merge them with the dish. I let it fully dry, and I also turned it upside down when the exposed side was dry so that the inner surface dries too, and then sanded it with a 220 grit sandpaper to create a smooth and flat surface and outline before painting. Next, I painted the surface and legs white, and I also mixed a tiny bit of beige to tone it down a bit because the white paint I have is pretty bright. And and then I painted the outline of the dish with a gold relief paint, and that completely transformed and elevated the whole look and made it so aesthetically pleasing. And finally, to protect the surface and color, I sprayed one coat of a clear acrylic varnish in matte finish, and that completes our DIY Seashell Trinket dish. For my final project, I will be creating a summer decorative tray, and I found this tray I had in storage, so I start off by spray painting white, mainly the center of the tray, which is where my shaped drawing will be, and while that was drying, I spray painted black the back of the tray using a matte finish spray paint, and while that was drying, I printed off my anchor stencil design, and then I carved out the outline of the shape with a cutter. Once I had the anchor shape, I transferred that on a cardboard using a marker to draw the outline and then carve that out with my cutter as well. Once the tray was dry, I placed that cardboard piece on the center of the tray and spray painted the rest of the surface with the same black spray paint. But when I removed the anchor, I saw that some of the black spray paint had transferred underneath, so I thought of using the larger cardboard with the cut shape in the center to spray paint it white, but that transferred as well, so then I spray painted the outline of the tray black again, and then I placed the anchor piece on the spray painted anchor and used a flat brush to cover the excess white with some spray paint I had added on a small tray. I know it looks very patchy right now, but once the paint dries and the clear coat is on, I promise you guys it looks very smooth. I applied a coat of clear acrylic varnish in matte finish on both sides of the tray, and to finish it off, I will be adding these old handles I had, so I spray painted them with the same matte black spray paint, and once they were fully dry, I wrapped around the center of the handle some jute, which I secured with some super glue, and I really think that adding jute made all the difference on this project and made it look definitely more upscale. And I also used my scissors to trim off any excess strands, and when both handles were complete, I super glued them on each of the short sides of the tray, and that completes our DIY summer tray. And these, you guys, were my summer theme DIYs. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below which one your favorite project was, because honestly, I can't choose between the three of them. I like how all three came out. I love summer and I love everything related to summer: the sun, the beach, seashells, ice cream, watermelon, you name it. So you can only imagine how difficult it is for me to choose a favorite project. So that's it for me for today. I hope you're all having a fantastic summer. Be safe, and last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more home decor and DIY content, and also click on the notification bell to get notified whenever any video comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!